What is up, guys? Welcome to Nerdvana, the Kayfabe Nexus. This is where this is episode one. It's just a little bit about the podcast. Um, it's pretty much going to be me covering all things nerd. Some episodes will be about just one topic, and then other times I'm gonna bounce around. And so for me, I hope you guys enjoy the episode. I I plan to cover lots of things, such as, I want to cover things such as wrestling, NASCAR, things like that. So I'm hoping that the first episode will be very good. Um, the main thing is we're gonna do this with gameplay in the background. Um, but we're not really going to be acknowledging the background. It's just going to be kind of something to hopefully keep your guys' attention while I ramble or a guest or whatever. So, first thing that we're going to talk about is actually wrestling, though, just because John Cena wrestled his last match. And I don't know, I have some thoughts on it. We're gonna cover wrestling and DC, Marvel, The Boys, stuff like that. And so, like I said, we're gonna start with John Cena's last match. And you know, this is one of those things where kayfabe is in the title of the podcast. So obviously, I know a little bit of the wrestling lingo and the things that go on in it. Um, I'm not gonna say I know everything, and I'm not going to pretend that I'm, Vince McMahon with all this wrestling knowledge. But I don't know. For me, last night, I was sad to see Cena go. Um, he was my first wrestling favorite, and then as I grew out of him, I grew to love Jeff Hardy and CM Punk, Edge, Seth Rollins. Um, but Cena was always my my favorite wrestler when I was a kid. He's not now, but there's still always that 9-year-old kid who watched. And I think last night I don't think in a fair biased way that I'm going to have the best thoughts on it. I wish that I just wish that maybe he should have passed out instead of tapped out. I don't know. Like, I personally kind of just wish they would have done the whole night differently. See, the hard part for me is part of me is doesn't want to start a podcast if I'm just going to have negative things to say. But I think starting here is probably the most motivated I've felt to start a podcast. And I'm not going to be one of those who's oh, we had it so much better under so and so, or if it was this way. Um, you know, I I think there's been good and bad to the Triple H era. I just think this year has probably been the hardest for me to to watch, I suppose. I'm having a hard time with just wanting to watch long term and to stay immersed. And kind of the thing that kept me in was watching John Cena and my favorite current guy is Seth Rollins. So I don't know. I'm okay with Cena losing. I know a lot of people were like, he should have lost, and or, or there was people who were like, he should have lost, and there was people who were like, no, he should have won. Blah blah blah. And that's not for me to say. I think um, I think for me, it doesn't really. The main thing that bothered me, my main opinion about it, is the tap out part. And I think the hard but wonderful thing about wrestling, and like I guess it's kind of everything, is everybody has an opinion. I would have preferred if they went a different way with Cena and his last match. Um, See, the hard part of me, the like heel lover, like the bad guy, like always root for the bad guy. In regards to John Cena's last match, I think I think him losing and tapping out is great for Gunther. But then I just I feel like you could have got some of the same. What I dread is everybody keeps talking about, well, now he's gonna have this like wonderful moment of, well, I retired John Cena, ha ha ha. And yeah, I suppose he does have that. But the hard part to me is, on top of that, while yeah, he has it could go one of two ways. It could either go the Brock Lesnar, I retired, or I ended the rest. It either could go the I ended the Undertaker streak at WrestleMania, Brock Lesnar, or the 21 and 1 or whatever, or it could go the Baron Corbin, I retired Kurt Angle route. And the hard part is the heel work is beautiful, and I don't know, I think for me this year, I think I'm vastly disappointed with Cena's run, and maybe that's on me, and maybe that's on us fans. Um, I can be biased. Um, to an extent, I'm kind of with other people upset about how the match and the tour pretty much went. The heel run. Um, I'm upset about how the bad guy run went, and the kind of like lame, like I'm a good guy again, love me thing went. I'm upset that so many of my favorite guys' matches, like my final time getting to see Punk and Cena is kind of that weird whatever that was in Saudi Arabia. Um, the final Punk Randy was kind of, I don't know. For me, I wish that we would have gotten something different. And maybe if somebody's going to tell me, well, you did get different. That's what the heel turn was all about. I don't know. Like, to me, I didn't feel like the final year was the time. Like, I think that's the hard part, though, about all of this is one person's opinion on this isn't going to, you know, nobody knows me, and obviously, like, I'm not gonna have the pull to get something said or done. Well, but I just wish that I wish it would have been an unknown person. I think that's the thing that, like, I feel like Gunther was kind of already set up, and I feel like we didn't really need to to have him do it. I think Carmelo Hayes, or a guy that I know a lot of people love. A lot of people are really behind LA Knight. I would have liked to see that. I think that's the hard part about wrestling is, you know, I've seen so many people who have so many favorites and so many thoughts, and maybe my take is I would have liked to see LA Knight, even if that was a pinfall. The hard part is I feel like even though I'm not really a fan of the guy, I feel like he kind of should have been the guy. And you know, I've seen the take of, well, Gunther needed this confidence back, blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, so making John Cena pass out, or I don't know, taking out the dude who messed him up wouldn't have helped you. I don't know. Just so many thoughts, I guess, and I think the rest of the pay per view was, or I guess it's not even it's not pay per view, it's PLE, but are main events even PLEs? Because I don't know. It certainly isn't the model that I grew up watching, so, but, for me, it is what it is. I thought the NXT involvement was cool to an extent. I just kind of felt like all three matches were kind of that, okay, we're gonna like shake hands, be good now, and I felt like all three NXT people were kind of given more of the rub that I felt like maybe, like, it's sometimes like John Cena's first match, he lost, and but he had like one of those like the veteran one, and I think that would have been cool, but you know, I don't I don't book the show, so um but I think the at the end the titles, even though I think the whole give Cena the two titles walk to the corner was kind of a let's send everybody home happy type of thing instead of I don't know. Um, I guess that's the hard part is um, I don't really know, I guess. But I don't know. I hear Jericho's supposed to come back soon, and I heard this is probably his final run, so that'll be interesting. Love to see some Jericho. He's been in the other company, and I think the hard part for me is I wish I had Warner Brothers Discovery or whatever the app's called. I think it's HBO, sorry. Um, I wish I had a way to watch Dynamite, because I think I can be pretty honest and say I've been pretty biased, just not been really into the whole thing with the bad PR they've gotten. But I guess that's the hard part, is um, saying things versus making my own opinion. And I don't have cable, so I don't really have a way to watch. Same kind of goes for WWE, but like I find their clips on social media more often, and I see people live stream them more often. Just part of that has to do with the other sides on HBO. But anyway, I think though that maybe I need to expand my horizons a bit, because I'm kind of having some trouble staying into wrestling right now. Part of me is doing that whole, like, I'm done watching, and like I know a lot of my friends and stuff are doing the whole we'll see you Monday thing. So I don't know. Um, but that's probably where I'm gonna leave wrestling for now. Um, just because, that's kind of most of my thoughts about it is just processing WWE and Cena's last match. And I think the hard part is like, obviously I don't know what to do any different than, like, the other hard part with wrestling, I guess, is like I don't know what the plan is either. Like, you know, 2 weeks from now, the whole thing could be different, and I think that's the one great thing about wrestling, but is also makes things hard with the evolving business is, 2 weeks from now, I could be like, okay, I get it. So, um, but yeah, we'll just wait and see. Um, I am looking forward to seeing what happens. I think the other hard part is I don't have that new ESPN app, so that might make it hard to. Okay, that was cool. Sorry. But I don't have the new app, so that might make it hard as well to see like the Rumble and all that. So I don't know, just gonna have to wait and see. But you know, I think the hard part is where they go here from here. Just I guess it won't be the same to me, but that'll probably be where I transitioned. Um, I guess the next topic I'll talk about is kind of the the rumor news that we're supposed to get a new Endgame trailer, or not Endgame, an Avengers Doomsday trailer soon. I personally am really excited to see if what the trailer happens. First off, I bet you everybody's surprised that I brought up the Avengers game. Honestly, have not played this since like 2023. Like, I played it for like 3 months after they like discontinued support, and then I just stopped playing it. But personally, my thoughts on the whole RDJ being in the new movie and everything. I think it's first off a little bit crazy, but like not in a bad way. My thought about it though is either me and my friends have talked about it, and to quote one of my favorite YouTubers, um, but one of the things we've talked about is, and like again, quoting one of my favorite YouTubers, RDJ being Doctor Doom is either going to be the thing that saves the MCU or is going to be the thing that kills the MCU. I've heard the big plot point to start the movie is that they're going to go after Steve Rogers, which one concerns me because like um, we're just starting to really establish Sam Wilson as Captain America, and like I really wanted to see more of that. And like they've done a lot of good with that storyline. Um, I mean, I guess I should say like there's some things they could have done better, but like I think like I'd like to see more of Sam as Cap, and it just makes me a little bit worried because if Steve shows up, that everybody's gonna be like calling him Cap, and so I don't know. But RDJ being a villain now is either going to save the MCU or it is going to be the thing that just destroys it. And I don't think there's really an in between. But that's kind of one of those things that my friends and I have talked a lot about. I personally have only really gotten into Marvel the last like 7, 8 years. Like I watched like one or two of the movies, but like I didn't know they were all connected. I didn't really get into it till like 2 or 3 months before Infinity War. So, but one of the things that I have kind of said I think would be the best idea, and I think your way of doing it is best to do this right after, if the whole thing with RDJ bombs, if Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom doesn't work, if it doesn't, and you're freaking out, I think the best thing to do is to pivot. Because the other thing I have long said to my friends, and some of my friends agree, some of them don't, I think the best thing to do is to recast everybody. And at first, you're going to probably be like, no, that's dumb. But my thought behind it is, let's think about it. Okay, one of the biggest problems is, okay, you have masterclass of like actors. So it is kind of hard to be able to cram Chris Hemsworth, Scarlett Johansson, and everybody else into one movie. And I should say, like, they all like fit on screen, and but like it's kind of hard to like schedule that, right? Because like RDJ is doing a movie. Okay, well, Scarlett's new movie, like, it just kind of happens with big name actors. And so I've always kind of felt like, but I felt like they're I feel like one of the hardest things, though, anymore with the MCU is they have so many big names that they're trying to cram everybody in and trying to find, like, the time to, like, get everybody able to line up. And with the more and more of these big projects where you have, like, all the X-Men returning and all the you have the Fantastic Four, and then you have the Avengers and the original Avengers. It's making. And so what I kind of have felt is that instead of relying on the big name stuff, instead of relying, like, you don't need to pull RDJ out as Iron Man anymore. You don't need Chris Hemsworth. In fact, all the, like, main people who have done the movies were big names. The only name I can think of that I never really heard of was Tom Holland. So with the new set of people, why don't you just get a bunch of unknown people? And I'm even being honest here, like, that kind of hurts me a bit, because I don't really want to see Tom Holland in I don't want to see a new Peter Parker. We've already had 3. But if I'm saying it for other roles, I gotta be fair. So, like, just think, instead of having to wait 4 years for a sequel to a movie, they could start on it right away, because you have people whose main role would be Iron Man. Main role. I don't know. I think that might be better long term. Because it kind of hurts the MCU for, like, oh, we gotta wait 5 years for this sequel, and just makes it harder for me to want to, like, stay engaged. And, like, I think the other thing that Marvel really needs to do is they need to make it to where it's easier to follow along, because one of the biggest things that makes it hard is, like, my grandma has asked about watching, like, the Marvel movies, and it's hard because instead of being like, oh yeah, grandma, we start here, we, like, instead of watching like 1 or 2 movies, I gotta be like, I either have to explain for like 3 hours, which with my grandma is just never going to work. She's, like, very detail oriented. And so at that point, I might as well just have her watch all the movies. But there's 26 in the first 3 phases. I don't even know how many there are, 4 and 5, and I'm assuming we're on 6 now, because we're doing the next Avengers movie, but I mean, it's just hard to keep up, and it's hard to. But think of it now, like, counting the X-Men, counting the 5 other Spider-Man movies, to introduce who Doctor Doom is as a character in case RDJ does bad. So you gotta watch the Fantastic Four movies, the original set. It's just a lot. But I don't know. I think a spin-off universe would work. Like, it's a multiverse thing, so I mean, it's fully plausible to have different universes with different actors. Because, like I said, like, if Chris Hemsworth wants to be Thor and play him for like 2 more movies, because that's what I've heard, okay, well, then Thor can wrap up his storyline without, let's just recast him. But then we could get somebody else being Thor and making their mark on the role. But overall, like, I really do love Marvel and where they're at. And I'd love to be able to see them continue it, because I'm suffering from burnout, and I know a lot of my friends are. It's hard because they're fun movies, and like I know that they are really enjoyable to most people, but it's just it's hard when it's the same formula every movie. And maybe that'd be another, like, I'd love to see Tom Holland be, the guy for a long time as Spider-Man, but he's starting to talk about hanging it up, and it's just, I don't know what the solution is, I guess. Because, like, I'm starting to really enjoy watching some of the, like, other superhero stuff. Like, I just recently got into The Boys, like, last year. And I enjoyed it. I'm really excited for season 5, and I have not watched Gen V season 2, but I will. I'm just waiting till it gets closer. I am really excited for it. I just personally feel like, though, that the MCU needs to change up something, because the same old thing just really isn't it. But that's kind of where I'm gonna probably wrap up with the MCU right now, because like I'm excited about the trailer. I personally have a theory, calling it now, that the original X-Men are either going to be flashbacked. I have 3 different theories, I should say. And one of them is kind of a tag team theory. I feel like the X-Men are going to be like the first to suffer at the wrath of Doom. Just feels like to me that's kind of where we leave the beginning trail off to. And so I feel like that's a good, like, the X-Men are gonna probably be the first kills to show Doom's dominance, or they're gonna be flashback, or they're gonna show up, or they're gonna be like, there's like so many different ways. Like either they could be like variants and their like previous ones got hurt. I don't know. Also, playing this Avengers game brought back a lot of nostalgia, and I think I'm probably going to do a video reviewing it. Not gonna lie. But anyway, I don't know. I am so excited for Doomsday, and the trailer's supposed to come out. I will say, because I did comment on it, I kind of didn't really finish the thought. I'm not going to complain either way about Chris Evans coming back. Just like, even if they do the recast, I don't think doing recasting has to mean the end of characters. Just like, everybody's been, everybody's been saying on Twitter, TikTok, social media, I'll just say, that they want to see Andrew Garfield continue as Spider-Man without recasting Tom Holland. Just because I want to see new actors play characters doesn't mean that I'm still going to show up if Thor wants to, if Chris Hemsworth wants to be Thor forever, or Ryan Reynolds wants to play Deadpool, or Hugh Jackman wants to play it till he's 90. I'm not going to complain. I just think it'd be cool to have a continuous universe that isn't dictated on by other schedules. But like I said, if it is true that Steve Rogers is going to be the focus, that's cool. Just hope they don't mess up Sam's character doing it. But now we can move on to other things. The first thing I've heard is that and this is one I don't know if it's true or not, but I've heard that Scarlett Johansson is going to be in the new Batman movie. I heard she's going to be one of the like animated series girlfriends. Um, I'm trying to remember the name, but I don't know. Um, I I haven't really seen the new DCEU stuff. I really want to, and I have heard mixed things about the whole Batman being in the new universe. Like I've heard some say that he's going to be part of it, and some say that he's going to be his own separate entity. And either way works for me. Um, I know my fiance didn't really enjoy the Batman. Um, just kind of crazy because she's a really big DC fan. But I haven't seen Blue Beetle yet. I probably should, considering one of my favorite shows in the last 4 or 5 years has been Cobra Kai. And literally the main kid from Cobra Kai is in this movie, is in Blue Beetle. And I really want to see Peacemaker just because, John Cena. Um, but I've heard a lot of good things about the Superman movie. I've heard some mixed things too, though. Like, some people love it, some people hate it. But I've heard Scarlett Johansson's going to be in the Batman too. Um, we'll just have to wait and see. I have a lot of faith in James Gunn, though. I feel like he is very good at bringing characters that aren't very well known and bringing them to popularity. Guardians of the Galaxy, and so I enjoyed the Suicide Squad with him. So I really need to get on watching with the DC stuff. It hasn't been like this year. I kind of at the just with scheduling and like I had a lot going on. So for me, it came down to either Freakier Friday or Superman for us, me and my fiance anyway. And so we kind of ended up going with Freakier Friday, which I really enjoyed. I'll have to talk about that in another. So I really want to see Supergirl. Like I'm not really familiar with the character, but I know that the girl from House of the Dragon's in it, and like a lot of people said she was really good in like the Superman movie. So I don't know. I'm really wanting to expand my horizons because I'm starting to get kind of Marvel burnt out. So I guess now is kind of that point where I switch up and find something new to watch, or as a consumer, find something new to consume. Because I still gotta wait like 6 months to a year for The Boys. But so we're gonna quickly touch on a different topic. We have like two more topics in this one that we're gonna talk about. First one, just this is gonna be an occasional sports thing, like it's pretty much whatever I want to talk about, right? So, for me, one of the other things I was going to touch on is kind of the news around NASCAR, which the biggest news really is the lawsuit between Michael Jordan, yes, that Michael Jordan, the, greatest of all time, depending on who you ask, stuff like that. He and his business partner, Denny Hamlin, sued NASCAR because of what Michael Jordan felt and his team felt was a disrespectful deal and contract. And they ended up suing the body that is NASCAR, and they didn't like legally win, but they didn't lose either. They got NASCAR to agree to a settlement, which means like NASCAR felt like they were going to lose, in my opinion. But Michael Jordan and his team were presented with a contract, and the contract was pretty. It was like one of those where if they didn't sign it in a certain time period, NASCAR was going to take away certain privileges and amenities. And just to expand further, they had what was called charters, which were like, if you had one of these charters, you got certain privileges and amenities. I say privileges and amenities just if you're not a NASCAR fan, you're not really going to know the difference, but it's important to have one. For your team's future, it's important to have one. And NASCAR was starting to take it away from those who didn't sign the agreement. And they cost a lot of money to obtain one. It's such a big deal that, like, one of NASCAR's biggest stars, Dale Earnhardt Jr., the reason he's not involved in the biggest spot in racing, the Cup Series, is because these cost a lot of money and they haven't really made it fair to own one. So that's kind of how big of a deal it is. And so for NASCAR to kind of settle and like, okay, let's have an agreement about this, I feel it's like a big win. And I really hope that they can. There's been a lot of like unfavorable things done with the whole NASCAR thing. So, like, they've done a lot of things that have hurt the fans and the community around it. So, I really hope that them agreeing to settle with Michael Jordan and his team is potentially the first step in healing and making, because like I've watched NASCAR my whole life. It's getting harder and harder to want to watch though. Just all my favorites are retiring, and it's just not like it was. And I don't know, like, I hope that they can start making it better for fans to come back on. And that's probably where I'm going to leave that. I am probably going to make a longer video about the Avengers game, just because playing it again has really brought back some nostalgia. Some of the good things I remember most about this game, and some of the negative feelings. And so now for the rest of the video, we're just going to talk about gaming. I've been playing GTA a lot recently because one of the biggest updates that fans have really dreamed about was the Mansions update. And some people say that those weren't really, like, desired updates. I've heard a lot of people be like, well, nobody asked for that, but, like, me and my friends have been talking about the Mansions update for, like, years. I don't really have, like... It's kind of hard because I don't really have, like, late nights with the boys anymore. And when I say, like, the boys, I don't mean, like, just, like, boys. It's more so the concept of, like, having friends that I stay up late and, like play games with. That's what I mean. So for me, I'm really disappointed about the lack of that stuff. But like, I guess GTA is probably never going to be that game to me that I like. I'm never going to go seek that game out. Alright, that's terrible. If I have like 30 minutes to go play something, GTA is not going to be that game I pick up. If I want like a casual experience and I don't want to stress. But they have made the game so much easier to play, I will say, lately. Like, they've made it to where you can play the game solo, which is good, because like I said, none of my friends really play anymore. But I've really enjoyed my, like, last week of playing. Like, you still have the griefers, but they made it to where you can play pretty much solo if you don't want to deal with that. And so, the last like 15 minutes of this, I was going to talk about some of the games I have played this year, and then at the end, I'm going to rank them. Um, not all every game that is mentioned is going to be in my top five, but one of the games I really enjoyed this year was the Card Shop Simulator. It's called TCG Card Shop, and I really enjoy that. It's just one of those games that isn't a loop, but the loop's kind of fun and like addicting. And best part is, in my opinion, it's still early access. So like, even if you even if there's something you don't like, it's still being like adjusted, which is great. But once you reach a certain point, I find it's kind of hard to want to progress and proceed. I mean, it's not like hard, it's just like repetitive, and like, I guess it does get hard though, because money gets like, there's more stock to buy, so there's more money to spend, and sometimes like, which is kind of kind of one of the challenges of like one of those games. It's kind of why you would enjoy it. I have the same issue though the with grocery store simulator. I guess it's supermarket, but both of those games are games that Queso got me in on. So, but like, they're kind of like tied for me. But I think I might just. There's one other game I want to mention that. There's two more actually. There's Mall Simulator, where you like start a mall. You start out with like one store, and then you like slowly evolve. Like, that's came out recently, and it's really fun. My fiance and I kind of play it together, where one of us is like she's kind of like, I'm the like hands-on person. Like, I do like all the things, and she's like, put this here. No, get this toy. Like, because there's like a toy store. Get this toy instead of this one. Like, I don't like where that display's at. So it's kind of been a fun thing with me and her. And then the other one that isn't going to be mentioned is, it's Ship Graveyard Simulator, where you like take apart ships for like scrap metal. And yeah, so I don't know, it's a really addicting and fun game loop. So alright, so we're going to go ahead and I'm actually going to do a top six. There was a game that, like, I went ahead and wrote my ranking down because I'm really indecisive, and I realized last minute there was a game I didn't write down that I've been like stuck playing a lot in the last little bit. So number 6 is going to be No Man's Sky. This is the game that I just was talking about that like I didn't really add to the last second, but I got it middle of October, and like it's really fun. It's addicting. Like when I play it, I get, if I'm not like the last week or two, I've been really burnt out on it, but before that, I've been like really sucked in. Like, oh, it's one of the like 3 games I've been playing the last like 3 months. So, um, I just kind of at that point where it's hard to know where to proceed with that. So, um, there is a game that is really popular, that isn't going to be on this list, and it might make the honorable mentions, but so 5 is going to be Card Shop. All the pros are like I said, it's really fun to play. The music's really catchy, and the gameplay loop's really fun. It's just hard to get past it because once you reach a certain point in gameplay, it's kind of hard to want to keep playing the same loop over and over and over again. Number 4 is going to be one that's kind of shocking, and it's actually for a really good reason. College Football 25. Now, yes, I said 25 because I have not gotten 26. I'm probably not going to. But the reason 25 is in it for me is the reason 25 is in and 26 is not is because I don't have them. But for me, 25 has done something that is really hard. I haven't really been a big Madden enjoyer the last little bit. It has been a long time for me to want to play Madden. Like, and the newest College Football 25 has helped fix that, and I'll elaborate. Sorry, I had less time than I thought left, so, or not less time, but like, I had recorded another track, and it just was gonna sit wrong, so, College Football 25, though, has done something that, for me, is really hard, which is making me want to play Madden. So, College Football 25, I did the Road to Glory, and that actually was directly responsible for me going and playing Madden 25 after that. Because in that, for me, I actually went and recreated I came up with my version of like Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes, because like there was a guy that like my junior and senior year we were like neck and neck for the Heisman and for all the awards, and so we actually went head to head. And so what I did is I took like the top 50 to 100 players. I don't even remember how many. I just kind of like looked at like a couple of each position, and I like made them in the draft. And I'm not gonna lie, I kind of had a hard time keeping up with like certain positions, but for the receivers and the quarterbacks and stuff like that, I actually kept track on them like in my franchise mode. Like I did the other mode too, like the career continuation, but it just wasn't as fun. So number 3 is going to be Farming Sim. That's not really a surprise. Obviously, if you are a watcher of my channel, I play that a lot. It's just smooth, it's relaxing, and it just is such a fun gameplay thing, and it's sandbox. You can do whatever you want with it. Next up, though, is NASCAR 25. As a big NASCAR fan, I've really enjoyed playing this game. Um, in fact, I've enjoyed it so much. Like, it's been the game I've played the most since October. I'm trying to figure out how I want to incorporate it onto the channel because I'm like, there's only one career mode slot right now, and I don't want to lose like my personal progress. But it is just a really fun gameplay loop. So we're gonna talk about like 3 or 4 games that like could have made the list, but for different reasons, just didn't. Or Water Park Simulator is probably the one that I already talked about the grocery and why the grocery didn't make it, because it's the same thing as like TCG Card Shop. Just Card Shop's more fun for me. But for Water Park, it just was really hard on my PC, and one of the things that I've always enjoyed about the simulator games is being able to hire someone. And for me, I was just incredibly overwhelmed, and then I reached a certain point where like my PC was having a hard time, and then like I wanted to hire an employee, and it was more fun to watch Queso crash out about it than it was to play it myself. So Water Park didn't make it. The reason Shipyard Graveyard didn't make it was just because I think for me, like, it's a personal enjoyment, but I don't think you can objectively say it's probably like a good game. It's just my personal enjoyer for it. Mall Shop Simulator, the reason it's not getting on here is just there's better games. But the game who is going to get the number 1 for me. Oh wait, there's one more, GTA, but like same thing. It's not the same if you're not playing with your friends. It's just a lot of issues with it. But number 1 for me is Minecraft. It's hard for me to really talk badly about Minecraft. Just, I've played the game on and off since I was like 11. I get bored, but then I get projects and like just. But for me, Minecraft, like, it's a game that I've constantly watched evolve. It's really easy to play. It sucks you in. Like, I have so many times where I tell myself, okay, I'm gonna like load into Minecraft, and all I'm gonna do today is work on my farm. And then 3 hours later, I'm like in a cave mining, and it's really fun for me. For some people, again, it might not be their cup of tea. But Minecraft is just a game that is constantly changing and evolving, and I love it. So, I'm definitely going to be wrapping up here now. I just wanted to thank everybody for listening. It might not be the best podcast you've ever heard, but I wanted to thank you guys for being here, watching, giving me a shot, and I hope the next one's better. There's going to be plenty of nerd stuff from now on, and like I said, this is Nerdvana. Thank you guys for listening.